When a program runs on a computer, it is assigned to a process or thread which runs on the computer's processor. Until recent years, most computers only contained a single processor, so there was no benefit to having more than one thread running at a time. Modern computers often contain 2, 4, or even more processors. By creating multiple threads using the thread class, you can divide intensive tasks between the computer's processors, significantly speeding up the task. To begin this lesson, open the Mathland project from your sample files folder. And view primes.aspx in your web browser. This page calculates prime numbers up to the value specified. It does this by counting backwards and attempting to divide each number by every number below it. This may not be the best way to calculate prime numbers, but it's a good example of a computationally intensive task. Click Calculate Primes now to calculate every prime number up to 100,000. Depending on your computer's speed, there may now be a long delay. The calculation took 23 seconds on my computer. The prime numbers are displayed in a list box control. Now close your web browser and return to Visual Studio, and open the code behind file of primes.aspx. Now, let's examine the existing code. Look in the button Calculate Primes click Event Handler, and find the line Calculate Primes, new int, to maximum value. This code calls the Calculate Primes method with an int array as an argument. Now examine the Calculate Primes method. This method may look a little strange. Instead of using an int array argument, it accepts an object argument and then converts it into an int array on the first line. This is necessary because the thread object is only able to work with methods that either have no arguments or have a single object argument. You're now going to add code to create a new thread. Add the following using line at the top of the code. Using system.threading. The thread class is in the system.threading namespace, so this line will make it easier to access. Now, in the button Calculate Primes click Event Handler, replace Calculate Primes new int to maximum value with thread 1 equals new thread, new parameterized thread start, calculate primes. This code creates a new thread object that will run the Calculate Primes method. You need to use the parameterized thread start object in order to run a method that has arguments. If the Calculate Primes method had no arguments, you could simply use the code thread 1 equals new thread, calculate primes. Now add the following code on the next line. Thread 1 dot start new int 2 maximum value divided by 2. This code tells the new thread to start running. Because you only want thread 1 to do half of the work, you are telling it to calculate prime numbers from 2 to half of the maximum value. Now you'll add code to create a second thread. Add the following code on the next line. Thread 2 equals new thread, new parameterized thread start, calculate primes, thread 2 dot start, new int, maximum value divided by 2 plus 1, maximum value. This code creates and starts a second thread, which will calculate the other half of the prime numbers. You might think that this code is now complete, but this code is vulnerable to a terrible form of error known as a race condition. In the next lesson, you'll learn about race conditions and fix this code to prevent one from occurring. Close Visual Studio now, saving your changes if prompted. And you've now completed Lesson 3.4. Implement multi-threading using the Thread class.